Welcome to another edition of the Sim Racing Garage. I'm Barry Rowland, and today we have a special sneak peek of the new F1 wheel from Sam Maxwell Customs. This is the final prototype of the wheel that he'll be offering to his customers. He asked me if I was interested in testing it out on my rig, and of course I jumped at the chance. First we'll take a closer look at the wheel and the features that it offers, and then we'll mount it to my Bodner Sim steering wheel on my rig over here and put it through its paces. So let's get to it. Okay, let's get a little close-up view of this F1 wheel. First thing I want to look at is the wood grips. Now this is a Bacote wood grip on this unit here. And I got to tell you, this is some beautiful looking wood, especially in real time when you're holding it in your hands. Sam did a great job on molding these and sanding them down. He says it takes about 4 to 5 hours to get these grips sanded and molded the way he wants to where they feel comfortable. And just give you some shots here of the wood. It's really a thing to behold in your hand. And the video really doesn't transfer as well as real life. And the color is just really nice on it too. And they feel really good in your hands. Just very nice and smooth. He finishes them off with a light oil treatment that really feels great. That's actually the frame that you see here is actually a material called garlite. And it's a very stiff type of plastic, high-end plastic, and it's a double X version of garlite. Sam says this is hard to machine, but it's very stiff. When he machines it, it gets a little brittle and it's easy to break, but he says he's got it figured out to where it's not that big of a deal anymore, and he can actually machine it pretty successfully every time. The frame is very, very stiff. You can take this thing and try to twist it torsionally in your hands, and there's no flex whatsoever in this. It's just really, really tight. And of course, once I get it on the Bodner wheel, it will tell me if there's any flex at all on the wheel, because that Bodner wheel will definitely reveal any weaknesses in a wheel's frame. All right, so also the carbon fiber plates that he puts on the front and the back. These are solid carbon fiber plates. Very nicely done, especially on the back where you can see it's actually, the plate is actually inset here inside the frame. So that plate had to be cut precisely to be able to fit inside the frame that holds the rest of the electronics. Very, very nice work. On the back, while we're here, we can see the paddle shifters, and they're nice, crisp shifters. I've actually run the wheel already, and they never missed a shift, and they feel really good in your hands. The bottom paddles are actually analog paddles, and that allows you to set one of these paddles up as a throttle or a brake, or both as a brake or a throttle or a clutch. Typically on F1 cars we'll be setting these up as a clutch. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second though. This is a 70 millimeter hole spacing. As you can see, I have a Q1R release on here already because I've already had it on my Bodner wheel. This is the USB plug in the back for the electronics, which is the SimR F1 display on the front of this, and we'll see that a little bit more in a minute. Going back around to the front, he uses exclusively knitter buttons all around the front of this, and I really like knitter buttons. They're very crisp, easy to press, and you can just definitely tell when the switch has been switched. Some buttons I've felt before they kind of feel mushy, and you really don't feel that definitive click, but here you do. And the dials are the rubberized type of coating on them, giving you a nice tactile feel when you turn the dials. And the dials, of course, you can switch all this stuff around, the dials as far as colors go, and you can also switch the knitter buttons. You just pop them off and put them somewhere else if you don't like the colors that you have or the way they're arranged, or if you decide you want to change it later on. Down here we have switches, which are single button pushes, basically. If you rock it up one, that's a button push that you've already assigned in your game or the simulator. Push it down, that's another push for something else. And the same thing is over here. Now the one in the middle actually controls the analog paddles in the back. Now another thing about these analog paddles, instead of using regular resistors in here, Sam has actually used Hall sensors in here, which, as you know, don't have anything contacting like in a regular resistor or variable resistor, and it feels really good. Now, I've already run the wheel for quite a while actually, and I can tell you that there's no interference. These Hall sensors never missed a beat when I was using them as a clutch and when I was using them to drive the wheel with just hands-only driving, and I had one of these as a throttle and one of these as a brake. It never missed a beat. I really like these Hall sensors because you know they'll never wear out. Something else, it's going to take something else to break a Hall sensor than just wear and tear. Now the switch, back to the switch on the front here, this is a switch when it's in the down position. Both of the paddles in the back here are the same. So if I had this in the down position and I assigned this paddle over here to a clutch, in the down position this would also be a clutch because this switch actually combines and splits the back analog paddles. It's called a combined splitter switch. Now if I had the brake and the throttle and switched it down, whichever one I had programmed first, that's what it would be in the combined mode. Now in the split mode, you put it up there, then I can actually go into my simulator or game and program each one of these separately individually, and that's in the splitter mode. Very cool little feature on here. I really like that. I've already used it and it works like a charm. All right, so let's look at the SimR F1 display. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what that looks like. Now, first of all, it runs off of the SLI Max software, the SLI Max Manager software that some of you guys may have already used out there. It's a pretty popular piece of software for running the electronic displays on wheels. And if you buy this wheel, of course the display comes with it and a license will come with it also. So you don't have to go buy another license to run the software on the wheel. So it comes with it because each one of these displays automatically comes with a license. Just something you need to know. So let's go ahead and hook this up on the USB port and I'll show you what that display looks like. Okay, we got the USB cable connected now. So let's go ahead and let you guys see what this thing looks like when it's running. Even though you will see it when I have it on the wheel, I just wanted to give you a close-up. There it goes. I really like this display. It's pretty cool. And it's really very bright, even with the shaded piece of Plex that Sam puts on the wheel. So anyway, just wanted to show you that. Now let's go ahead and stick it on the bodder and give this thing a roll. All right, so we're at the Circuit of the Americas in the Dallara. I thought this is a nice fitting car to run this wheel in. And I'm also testing some other things, and I happen to be using the Dallara. Ooh, a little loose there. All right, so the first thing you notice about this wheel when you're using it is that it is very crisp feeling you have in your hands when you go over any curbing or bumps. It's just immediate, and of course that has something to do with the Bodner wheel, don't get me wrong. But I have other wheels like some of my Momo wheels that are not as crisp. You can feel the flex in them, and that's because the Bodner can put out so much force. But this wheel with this Garlite frame is just fantastic. It's just very stiff. Every little bump, like right there, you feel it going over the curbing right away. There's no force feedback loss whatsoever. It's just a confidence-inspiring wheel to use when you have it in your hands. I really like this wheel, as you might be able to tell. And the shifting, I'm going to downshift here, click, 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 click. And it's just positive, right on every time. I never missed a shift with this wheel. And that's a big thing to me. Some wheels, the shifting mechanisms aren't as precise or as crisp feeling as you would like them to be. And sometimes they even miss shifts, which really bugs me to no end. I don't know about you guys. The wood grips feel fantastic. They're just very cool in your hands. They're smooth. They just fit your hands so well. He did such a great job of finishing these hand grips. And you really, in the video, when I tried to show it to you, is one thing, but having it in your hands and driving the wheel is something different entirely. It's just a pleasure to use it just because of that. And again, the coolness of the handles in your hand, it's very nice. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do one more lap here. And again, going over the curbing, you see how it just feels so good. You can feel everything so precisely. And going through this upcoming rhythm section, it's just a positive feeling in your hands. I feel like you can just slice and dice through here better than any wheel that I've used to date as far as in the Dallara. And you can see the display. I really like the way that looks too. Well, not much else to say about this wheel. It's a great wheel. And we'll get to the final thoughts of it in a minute. And we'll just finish out this lap and just go ahead and let you guys listen to the Dallara and let it run, and I'll just stop talking. Okay, that's it. Go ahead and get out of the car. And once again, I can say this is a fantastic wheel to use. I really love it. And we'll go ahead and get to the final thoughts part now. Sam Maxwell is well known in the sim racing community. He designs and produces all his custom wheels in-house, and he's been doing it for quite some time now. I have 2 custom wheels that Sam made for me, and I couldn't be happier with the results. It's just a pleasure to deal with Sam when you get your wheel built. Now, this F1 wheel in particular is something I think is very special. From the hand-formed Bacote wood grips to the very stiff Garlite material he uses in the frame of this. It's just a high quality piece of work, and you can tell it when you hold it in your hands. I couldn't detect any force feedback robbing flex at all in this wheel when it was mounted to my Bodner sim steering system. I certainly can't say that for all the wheels that have been mounted to my Bodner. The knitter buttons are very crisp. I really like these, nice clicks to them. The dials have a nice tactile rubbery feel to them. This Simar display is really a top-notch piece or kit right here, and it just looks really cool too. The paddle shifters are crisp, with your upshifts and downshifts being perfectly synchronized. I never missed a shift with this wheel. Did have a little issue with the length of the shifters, but then again, this is the prototype and I have small hands anyway. So when Sam builds my wheel, I'll just make sure that the paddle shifters are a little bit further out. And of course, as most of you know, that's not a problem for him. I really like the analog paddles here with the hall sensors. These things allow one to use the wheel in many different configurations depending on the need. I'm looking forward to see the production units coming out. Even though this is pretty much a done deal as far as I'm concerned, I didn't have any issues with the wheel at all, and I've used it for a few hours. Well, that's it for now. I'm Barry Rowland, and thanks again for watching the Sim Racing Garage channel.